streaming live from our studio here on the John Hammond Street, also live on our numerous affiliates across the country. Coming up this afternoon, hundreds more rescued as flooding situation down the Volta Basin continues to get worse with no end in sight still for the thousands affected. Demand for compensation for the affected, meanwhile, is on the rise. Media General, as part of its corporate responsibility, is coordinating support for the thousands. We'll let you know how you can be of help. Meanwhile, one person has reportedly died with several others displaced at Makango in the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region as the Akosombo and Kpone Dam spillage continue to wreak havoc. We take you up north for the latest plus some update of the struggle of residents in flood-impacted communities if you stay with us here on the news on 3FM 92.7. Once again, welcome to the bulletin. It's streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM927. Same handles on Twitter as well, 3FM927. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. And in the unending tale of the disaster from the Akosombo and Kpone Dam spillage, rescue efforts are continuing days into the incident, which has left thousands homeless and properties destroyed. The President, Nana Akufo-Addo, has assured of swift government support to help the affected. The reality, however, that support will have to be sustained for well over a month, with the Volta River Authority reiterating it can only begin to close the valves from the two dams ending October. The public health emergency, meanwhile, has become apparent as Ghana Medical Association and the Volta Regional Health Directorate mobilize personnel to provide emergency health assistance to the victims. In the Volta region now, my colleague Godwin Asiba, he's in the area where he continues to detail exactly what it is that has been happening in terms of relief and support. And in first-hand account, he joined some resilient women on their challenging expedition, as if nature itself mirrored their struggles. Thunder and all of that reverberated even as they continued to make their way through the waters, and the rains were continuing to come down hard. And we'll connect with Godwin shortly for a bit more details as to exactly what it is that is happening there. Then we'll be live in the Volta region where the Regional Health Directorate has declared a public health emergency in relation to the development there as well. We'll connect and get you details from them as to responses exactly that has been coming through. But let's speak to Godwin now. He's my colleague in the Volta region. Let's pick thoughts from him. Godwin, exactly where are you and what can you tell us? You've been following the personal struggles of individuals who've been trying to make their way to a health facility this morning.
I am at the moment in Achokopa, and this is a small village in the Volta region, and I am sure that we've all seen how devastating the situation has been, houses submerged, hospitals and churches. But when you come to this community, the story is quite different. And as much as their houses have been submerged, most of the pregnant women here are struggling to access antenatal care. Most of them are quite sick. They haven't been to the hospital for some days. And it, raises alarm on how difficult their situation is and how risky it is for them and their fetuses and their wombs. So I was able to travel from Achokokwa to a nearby community with some two women who are heavily pregnant. For some time now, they've not been able to have access to some antenatal care because of the dam spillage. We had to travel by a canoe, which is about 20 minutes drive from Achokokwa to the other community, and somewhere in the middle of the river, or if I should say, the flood waters, when we were on our way, thunderstruck, and then it started raining, and we have to be in the rain with the pregnant women through to, the other side of the community. And I was really excited this happened because it really paints a strong picture of the difficulty that these pregnant women go through that most of, the people out there do not get to see. And it also tells the story of how heavily impacted some of these communities are and how it is affecting the residents. So we pass through the rain, paddle the canoe. I have to help some of them and then the men to paddle the canoe to get to the nearby community. We are at the moment here, and some of the health facilities have also been closed down because they are half swallowed by the water. And that's how bad the situation in here. So they traveled through a horrible journey, which wasn't an easy one, having to pass through the rain, risking their lives because they don't have life jackets. We finally get here, and then there's no health facility, and it's closed. So this is really challenging.
And for these women who've had to go through all of this morning, and they cannot get access to the health care that they so require, what is their next step? Are they making that perilous journey back?
They will have to, take their journey back. And unfortunately, they won't be able to go to their homes because their homes have also submerged. It means they'll go to a higher ground, maybe a nearby friend, where they can go and seek shelter for some time. And if possible, when the water recedes, they would return home. But looking at the rate or the level at which the water has engulfed the space or has swallowed some portion of the house, I don't think that it will be receding anytime soon.
And the rescue efforts, is it that it hasn't reached them yet? Because we know that they continue to rescue all of these individuals who've had their homes inundated by these waters. Is it the case that it's not reached them?
I've been in for about 6 hours now, and I haven't seen any rescue team here. It is just the residents and their own troubles looking at ways at which they can maneuver through to, help themselves and save their lives as well. Really interesting, but really sad as well, Mawuena.
Right then, Godwin. Godwin detailing, many thanks, some of the harrowing experiences already for pregnant women who've been wading through waters and getting onto a canoe seeking to get antenatal care. And they get to the hospital, it's been inundated as well with the waters, and so they cannot get care. Their homes have been taken over, hence rescue efforts has not reached them. They have to seek higher grounds and pitch with individuals whose homes have not been affected by the dam spillage. And so the health emergency, which is already being spoken to by the Volta Regional Health Directorate, already being felt in parts of the Volta region. Well, the Ghana Medical Association, they say that they will be deploying some of their personnel to some of the worst affected areas to provide some of these emergency healthcare services. We can take a listen to the acting General Secretary, Dr. Richard Solomon.
It's important that we hammer preventive methods like hand washing, making sure they get potable water to prevent especially the diarrheal diseases that most of the people or the victims will be prone to. A larger team is going to the affected areas tomorrow, being led by our Volta Divisional Chairperson, Dr. Egbeta PJ, and a team of doctors. He is also working and collaborating with the other professional groups, the nurses and others in the region, the pharmacists in the region. So a team will be dispatched there, and they are going to move in groups.
So a team to be dispatched there. Let's connect now with Dr. Kwame Senanu-Jokoto, who is the Deputy Director in charge of Public Health, and get updates for you as well from there as to exactly what it is that's happening in the Volta region, the worst affected areas with regards emergency healthcare delivery, which can be provided to these individuals within the interim. But while we wait to connect to him this afternoon as well, the Assemblies of God Church is backing calls for the declaration of a state of emergency in the flood devastated areas. The General Superintendent, Reverend Stephen Wengam, he is also making the case strongly for corporate bodies to rally together to help provide support and relief to the affected.
It bears recounting that the entire communities have been submerged in the flood waters. Thousands of people, including children, have been displaced and property worth millions of Ghana cedis lost. To make the desperate humanitarian situation worse, public cemeteries, mortuaries, and toilets have also been submerged in the floods, thus polluting sources of drinking water and igniting a public health emergency concern. This catastrophe of unprecedented proportions calls for a response of unparalleled agency. His Excellency the President Nana Akufo-Addo and other political leaders have shown leadership by touring parts of the badly affected sites yesterday. NADMO and the Engineers Regiment of the Ghana Armed Forces have also been doing everything within their capacity to help contain the situation. We commend them most profusely. The media also deserve fulsome praise for their risky ventures in bringing the Ghanaian population and international community up to speed on the heart-rending developments. The stark reality is that government and government agencies alone cannot shoulder the huge burden of bringing the requisite relief and hope to the hopeless victims of the untold disaster. This is the time, therefore, for Ghanaians of all social backgrounds, financial standing, political affiliations, and ethnic extractions to rally to the aid of the suffering fathers, mothers, and children. Corporate Ghana and other benevolent bodies must also identify themselves with the humanitarian efforts while counselors and psychologists do their bit.
So that's the General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God Church, and which bigger platform to have that done but that of Media General and 3 Foundation, because we've launched a fund to provide support to victims of the Akosombo and Bone Dam spillage, and the foundation is calling on the public to donate cash, provisions and other relief items to support the vulnerable as well.
3 Foundation is a sustainability and corporate social responsibility management structure for Media General, with a commitment to enriching lives and empowering Ghanaians with interventions in health, education, and community development. Head of 3 Foundation, Gillian Heathcote, says the creation of the fund has become necessary to provide a platform for others to reach out to the vulnerable.
3 Foundation and Media General are saying that for those of us out there who can contribute building materials, food, medicines, we understand that the hospital had to shut down because of the situation, and we can imagine what the hospital will be going through. The textile industries, people have lost their entire clothing.
She has appealed to the public to support the worthy cause.
For people who have their own widow's mites and they want to give donations, they can do so through 3 Foundation official account, which is 059-743-3110. We have a merchant number, which is 120494, under the merchant name 3 Foundation. And for persons who would want to make some further inquiries about our Dam Spillage Relief Fund, they can call 0243-126-282 to reach the corporate communication department of Media General, and we'll be too happy to direct them as to what to do.
The spillage has displaced thousands, with women and children most affected.
And so that's the latest from us here at Media General as we continue in our bid to coordinate support for the affected. The minority as well say they've been coordinating efforts to help the victims as well. Kwame Governs Abuja is a minority whip. Let's just take a listen to him briefly.
Ghana have sponsored many things, festivals, beauty pageants, and other things. But we just find it quite curious that despite the fact that about 200,000 people's lives is in jeopardy, the action of corporate body is too thin on the ground. And I'm saying that they could do far better. Corporate Ghana can do far better. And I'm calling on the MTNs, the telcos, the food manufacturing company, water, and the people who can provide the temporary shelter. What are you waiting for? These are the people that you do business with. And it shouldn't take the minority or anybody to remind you that whilst we know that you've done this in the past, you've supported what it calls another thing. I think this is a call on you to stand up to be counted in terms of your actions that actually can help save lives. Because we don't know, the worst can still happen because we are still looking at the dam rising, the spillage is still going on. What is corporate Ghana's stake in trying to address this?
That's the minority whip Kwame Governs Abuja speaking there. Let's go back to the region. I mentioned a declaration of a health emergency by the Volta Regional Health Directorate. Thankfully, we've been joined by the Deputy Director in charge of Public Health, Dr. Kwame Senanu Jokoto, for a bit more on this. Doc, many thanks for speaking to us. And so the last time we spoke to you, you were assessing the situation with regards to what it is that was happening. Has that been done, and what is the response now? What are the efforts that are being taken by the Health Directorate to provide relief from the medical side to these affected?
Thank you very much. Let me make these clarifications quickly. It is not although the situation is in the region, the response is from the Ghana Health Service, and it sometimes even goes beyond the Ghana Health Service.
Right.
Because we receive technical guidance from our Director General, our Director of Public Health, daily. At the moment, we are in an EOT meeting with the Director of Public Health, Dr. Franklin Esieribakwin. The rapid assessment has been done, and then we have a looming public health emergency if no interventions are put in place. That is exactly our word. We do not have the mandate to declare a public health emergency, but we can advise that at this point, if no interventions are put in place, we may have a public health crisis. So those are exactly our words. And it is because at this point, we have displaced population, as has been communicated by NADMO. We also have a situation where we have contaminated water all the way from the affected communities, even going downstream. We also know that medium term, the water tables will be affected, so people may be drinking contaminated water. These diseases we are looking at include cholera, which we all are aware of, the devastating effects. We are also looking at salmonella infections. We are also looking at Gardiasis, E. coli. All these infections can happen if the right measures are not put in place. We also know that the people are exposed to the vagaries of the weather. So diseases like malaria, skin infections, all of these we would have to prepare for. We have health workers who are displaced. We have facilities that have been closed. We have the South, one major facility, Richard Novartis Hospital, which is closed. So declaring or seeing this as an emergency would enable us to mobilize all the stakeholders and resources to be able to appropriately respond. We need to mitigate the effects of the flood. We need to prepare for all eventualities. We have to respond appropriately, and we have to put in place a plan to recover even after this episode is over.
So we know that the Ghana Medical Association have deployed a team. They are seeking to have mobile tents, but immediately, what are the needs for the health directorate in the region and the nation as a whole to begin to address some of these concerns of these affected?
Yes, that, like the President of the Republic has said, this is a response for the entire Ghana, not only the regional health directorate. So I'll reiterate that. What we need now, first of all, we've been able to mobilize what we have, but we know that it won't take us a long haul. So we need to mobilize more resources. So mosquito nets are being distributed to the people in the displaced population. With provision of water, we need poly tanks. We need mobile toilets for people. We need education to get to people as early as possible. The medical equipment that have been affected in these our facilities would have to be replaced quickly so that we'll be able to continue to render essential health services to people. We need to do enhanced surveillance. We need to train our health workers quickly give them refresher courses, community-based surveillance volunteers, our focal persons in the various health facilities so that they will be able to identify these diseases early. We need to have the capacity to be able to have a lot of community engagement and health education so that we'll be able to avert prevent some of these diseases. We are stockpiling medication, we are stockpiling medicines that we need to prevent or to deal with some of these likely disease outbreaks. So it's a very tall list of things that ought to be done. And I'm sure that this list is not exhaustible. If you talk to NADMO, they also have
what it is that they want.
That they also need. So for health service, these are the things that we need: the medicines, non-medicine, consumables, items like spigs. We also need glucometers to be able to go to the field. These ones have been affected by the flood, so any kind of support in that regard would be very, very, very appreciated.
Right then, Doc, we'll leave it here. We'll come back to you in the course of the days to continue to assess exactly what the situation is and provide a bit more details. That's Dr. Senanu Jokutu, is the Deputy Director in charge of Public Health. But even as the downwards Volta Basin continues to experience all of the difficulties, up there, there's some challenge as well, because in Makango, in the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, one life has reportedly been lost and thousands displaced as a result of excess water from the Akosombo and Pond dams being felt in the upper belt as well. And Nadra Mohammed, he's on the beat for us. He's joined us she's joined us on the telephone line. Just apologies for that. What can you report with regards to the situation in the Makango community as well?
So the situation here is not really nice because the Volta lakes overflowed and then break its boundaries and creep into the community, leaving thousands of people homeless as we speak right now. Some residents who were affected greatly have moved to seek shelter at the nearby schools, while some have flee from the community to other communities to seek refuge from their relatives who are far from that community.
But in terms of support, has there been support coming through for the people, even as the water also continues to rise there?
So I spoke to the assemblyman some few minutes ago. He told me that so far nothing of such has happened, no support yet. They spoke to NADMO. And NADMO just arrived some few minutes ago with the municipal chief executive, and they are going around to speak to some residents. So far they just arrived, and then we don't know what they will do or what support they are bringing, but nothing has been done yet.
NADMO has arrived. You were saying something that NADMO has arrived, but it's not clear.
Yeah, NADMO arrived some few minutes ago with the area MCE, and they are moving around, trying to speak to the residents, the affected people who are most of them are seated under the mango trees, whilst others are still parking their tents, moving out of the community. Well, according to them, they knew something like this would happen, but they never expected it this early. So, and as it has happened that no support is coming, those who are not affected are also parking their tents, saying that they have to move because they don't know what may happen next.
Right then, Nadra, many thanks for speaking to us. Nadra Mohammed is in the Makango community in the East Gonja municipality of the Savannah region, providing a bit more details there as well. And so a number of things as well will be following up on that particular matter if you stay with us here on 3FM 92.7. It's been a long drawn bulletin this afternoon in relation to the flooding situation downwards the Volta Basin, and now the indication we get as well is that upward as well, because of the large volumes of water gathering in the Volta River, the Volta Lake. It continues to spill over and is causing quite a number of issues for persons in all affected areas close to the Volta River and the lake. But we're moving our attention from this now. We'll provide details on it for you if you stay with us, to the Supreme Court, because the NDC and some 5 other political parties who sue the Electoral Commission over the limited voter registration, which ended somewhere last month. That case is now being heard at the Supreme Court. Let's connect with Lord Idwasari for brief details. Lord, what can you tell us? Has the case been heard? What's the justices of the Supreme Court, what have they been saying?
Right, so Mawuena, the case is actually over, and the Apex Court struck out the injunction application filed by the NDC and 4 other political parties. Now, you'd recall that the NDC, CPP, APC, LPG, GCPP filed the injunction application restraining the Electoral Commission, citing that restricting the exercise to only the district offices would hamper eligible voters from essentially registering, and then they will not be able to register in the long run. Now, the case was started by a 5-member panel and presided over by the Chief Justice, Gertrude Sokonu, and she made things clear that the reason why the Supreme Court could not sit at an earlier date and set the hearing to 17th October today was that normally per the court rule, the Supreme Court does not sit in August and September due to the legal break, and so there was no way that they were going to sit or hear the case before this day. You recall that when the injunction application was filed, there was a lot of noise, for want of a better word, by parties that had filed the injunction, and because they didn't understand why the date had been set for October 17, when they in fact filed the application in September 7. Now, the Chief Justice explaining this in court said that per the court rules, this cannot be done. And so that's why they have the lower court, i.e. the Accra High Court, the Circuit Court, and others to sit on cases like this. That in special cases, the Accra High Court sits on some cases, and so it would have been prudent for them to even take the case there. But as it stands, the Supreme Court cannot hear matters such as these. And 17th October is actually the first day that the Supreme Court is actually hearing cases. And so today, although the case was set for around 9 o'clock, Mawuena, the case was called after 12 because there were a number of cases that had been lined up to be heard at the Supreme Court, because this was the first day essentially for the court to hear cases. So as it stands now, the injunction application has been struck out. The lawyer for the Electoral Commission was represented by Justin Amanuvo. And I must say that Dr. Boston Asare, the deputy chairperson of the EC, was also present. But the EC, the NDC, pardon me, and the 4 other political parties who filed the injunction were all absent together with their lawyers. And so Justin Amanuvo noted that since the case was filed, no other application had been filed in addition. It was just a writ which had been filed by the NDC. And so after hearing this, the Supreme Court struck out the injunction application was filed by the 5 parties against the Electoral Commission.
Right then, Lord Edward Sarah, my colleague in court, providing a bit more details. And just by way of news as well, more than 900 activists of the Progressive People Party, they've crossed the carpet to join the NDC. And so that's also what's been happening in the news. And one ECOWAS national suspected of engaging in human trafficking and prostitution has also been arrested in the 31 rather have been arrested in the Elembele and in Zima district of the Western region. That's a bulletin for you this afternoon, which came to you from our studios here on the John Hammond Street. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. As always, a lot more news if you log on to 3news.com. The business team is here. Michael Obodu is here with the very latest from the world of business.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. My name is Michael Obodu. Coming up, CD faces third week of weakening against the dollar amid rising demand ahead of the Christmas season. We'll bring you a business desk report. Meanwhile, Bank of Ghana projects inflation to decline to 29% by the end of the year, citing economic gains and ongoing IMF program. Also, government hints of Eurobond holders may face haircuts in external debt restructuring. We will hear from the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta.
The restructuring terms for bondholders involve maybe a nominal haircut of 30% and 40%.
Well, details of that story and more coming up shortly. Please stay with us. Well, thank you for staying with us. Straight into our first story. The cedi is expected to continue to weaken against the US dollar for the third consecutive week. This is attributed to increased demand for foreign exchange by local businesses and importers in anticipation of the Christmas season. The following 3 Business News Desk report has more.
Last week, the central bank conducted an auction providing $20 million to bulk oil distribution companies and $2 million for spot market interventions. However, analysts deemed this amount insufficient to meet the ongoing demand for foreign exchange. Despite the depreciation, the rate of decline is not alarming. In the preceding week, the local currency experienced a depreciation, losing 0.17% of its value against the dollar and closing at 11 cedis 84 pesos. It also faced a depreciation of 0.86% against the pound and 0.6% against the euro in the retail market. On the interbank market, the cedi had a varied performance, losing 0.73% of its value against the US dollar on a week-on-week basis, while making a slight gain of 0.06% against the euro. However, it maintained stability against the British pound.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report. Meanwhile, 3 business sources have revealed that the local currency is selling at 12 cedis at some forex bureau in the capital, Accra. Now, the Bank of Ghana is projecting inflation to end the year 2023 at 29%. The rate declined to 38.1% in September from 40.1% recorded in August 2023. Speaking during a webcast on latest Ghana macroeconomic development updates in Marrakesh, Morocco, Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, attributed the projected decline in general price levels to economic gains and the progress made with the International Monetary Fund program.
IMF was quite happy about what they saw with the development in the inflation rate, significant decline in the last reading. So we are seeing a year-to-date, decline from 54.1% to 38.1%. A large part of that is also coming from the non-food side, with non-food inflation going from 50% to 29%. All our core measures of inflation have also trended downwards, and we are beginning to see, expectations of inflation also going down. So we are sort of confident about the outlook for inflation. We are expecting that hopefully we should reach 29% by the end of the year.
That was Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, speaking there. Now, in a related development, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has revealed that Eurobond holders are likely to face a haircut as part of the restructuring of government's external debt. According to him, coupons may also not exceed 5% with final maturity of not more than 20 years.
Sustainable by the IMF as per their debt sustainability assessment in the baseline macroeconomic scenario. So in our indicative scenario, the restructuring terms for bondholders involve maybe a nominal haircut between 30 and 40%, looking at maybe coupons of no more than 5%, and final maturities of no more than maybe 20 years are sort of the contours of what we are discussing and analyzing. As a people, we have no antipathy towards any instruments which would ensure that everybody's position is respected and we get to an end which makes the country stronger for us to come back to market. So we are open to contemplating any instrument provided it aligns with debt sustainability. That's where the IMF debt sustainability analysis, and it's financially, legally, and politically acceptable, as well as will lead us to quicker robustness of our economy.
That was Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta speaking there. Away from that, the Ghana Shippers Authority has renewed its commitment to ensuring smooth trade facilitation through the elimination of barriers. Addressing the media at the 10th Annual Conference of Borderless 2023, Head of Logistics and Freight at the Authority, Fred Asiedu-Date, said his outfit's collaboration with Borderless Alliance will ensure that traders obtain real-time assistance to improve transit of goods.
Through collaborative efforts with Borderless Alliance, the Ghana Shippers Authority has developed an e-platform that allows shippers to obtain real-time assistance when they encounter challenges while using Ghana's corridors, whether for internal trade or for the facilitation of transit to landlocked countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. This collaboration has also facilitated the gathering of stakeholders from both organizations to raise awareness and build capacity on issues related to trade within the sub-region. The Ghana Shippers Authority is very happy with the ongoing collaboration and is committed to continuing its work with the Borderless Alliance.
Fred Asiedu-Date is the Head of Logistics and Freight at the Ghana Shippers Authority. Moving on, the Ghana Tourism Authority has expressed regret over the flooding that has inundated the premises of several hotels in various regions across the country. This flooding is a consequence of the spillage from the Kpong and Akosombo dams, a necessary measure to safeguard their structural integrity. During a press conference held in Accra, a deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Ekwa Samson, stated that his outfit is taking every possible measure to assist affected businesses in their recovery from the impact of the flooding.
It's unfortunate. It's something that we have not envisaged. And, we also promote, these are resort facilities. It's very, very bad. When somebody invests heavily in such facilities and then, unfortunately, we have these natural disasters, it's unfortunate. We have actually asked our regional offices to contact them as soon as possible to see what we can do, to assist them. But certainly our heart is with them. And then we're praying that no life is lost. But again, we will see what we can do, especially coming straight from COVID, where majority of the hotels were affected. And now that they are recovering to meet this natural phenomena, it's unfortunate. But certainly we will do whatever it's now means to ensure that they can be on their feet again.
Well, that was the Deputy CEO of the Ghana Tourism Authority, Eko Samson, speaking there. And that will be all for today's edition of Business Daily. For more business stories, please visit our website, 3news.com. My name is Michael Obudu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe and bye-bye.